Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. We are going to watch a post-race press conference. Let's watch it together.
Place George Russell, in second place Max Verstappen, and taking the fifth win of his Formula One career and his first here in Australia, our winner, Lando Norris. Lando, very well done to you. Lots of pressure, lots of weather throughout the race, yet you executed everything perfectly. Just how satisfying was this?
Today we were very, very decisive, calling to box 5 meters before I boxed. But it was the right call in the end, and that won us the race, so stressful but rewarding.
Stressful but rewarding. Just talk us through, perhaps, I guess, the peak stress moment when you ran through the gravel.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think, Max was on the mediums, myself and Oscar on the hard, so I think we knew if it started to rain, we'd struggle a bit more than what Max was.
I'm sorry for the interrupting this beautiful video, but sometimes they are asking very stupid questions, like what he can feel like with one race to lead the championship. Like, I don't know what was expecting with this question. Really, I can understand sometimes from no one journalists, let's say, with this kind of their questions. Let's continue to watch.
Only one line, so even if I would have gotten a run into whatever to 9, you have to go onto the wet part, so you can't really do a lot, but at least it was close. It looked good on TV.
Can we talk a lot more about the rain? Tell us about the call to stay out one more to the floor.
Yeah, before the question starts, the fight reminded me between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. The fight was like on the time they were just fighting with Lewis Hamilton, something like that it was. And also if it came to George Russell, I think he was driving standard, let's say. He just stayed out of trouble. He managed it very well, his race, but at least at the end of the race, he was so lucky. That's my opinion. He was so lucky, and he just took the third place. Let's watch it together. And also, I'm sorry for the interruption, but because I must do this, and just don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Now, please, name and publication. First one, please. Yep.
Michael Butterworth, Xinhua News Agency. Lando, on the basis of what we've seen so far in Bahrain and this weekend, McLaren look to have the edge over the rest of the pack. Are there any circuits or any types of where you think you might struggle a bit more than you have so far?
Lando, next one. Andrew.
Lando, you were talking about, Andrew Benson, BBC Sport, you were talking about the work that you did over the winter. What does that work look like? But also in the race, at one point you almost looked like you were going to preempt the conditions with a tyre change, which is not often a good decision in Formula One. So how does that fit in with that work? What's going on in that whole situation?
But it was a shocking one, and we accepted that. I think Canada was not a guaranteed win. I don't think, George and Mercedes were very quick there, and Max was quick there, but we didn't nail the strategy, but we knew we had to improve in certain areas. So there's been a lot of work just on trying to make sure we're snappier, we're better with our communication. To be honest, today I wouldn't say it was snappy. I felt like I was having a story time with Will on the radio. We were talking so much every lap. I might as well have just left my radio open for the whole race. So, I was just, it's just a difficult situation to be in. First, and not knowing what to do with tires, you kind of just know someone's going to get it right behind you because they're just going to gamble something and it'll work out for them. And I didn't want to lose out to someone in the middle of the pack who would gamble and somehow win the race. So I was just making sure we were prepared. I was doing my part on making sure that the guys on the pit wall here and everyone back in mission control in MTC were aware of what was going on, making sure we were on top of it and making sure we were ready to make the right call. And that right call was made literally half a second before I boxed. Was as I was still trying to save the car and make sure I didn't shunt. And it turned out to be the right decision. So it was more just relaying information and making sure we're not overdoing it. It's good amount of information, and I'm just giving them my feelings of, a little bit of drizzle seemed to make quite a big difference for us today. Did for me on the hard tires, and I think that's what allowed us to make that call to box as quickly as we did. So there's a lot more behind the scenes that even I don't know. A lot of it is the strategy team doing their work. So I owe the strategy team a lot of credits for today, because they've put in a lot of time and effort over the winter to build up and improve on such things even more. It's not just about driving a car quickly on a day like today, but a big part of it is also that. So I owe a lot to Will and the strategy team today.
Thank you, Lando. Next, please.
Michael Doyle, ABC Sport. A question for all of you. A couple of the crashes that happened today were in parts of the circuit that don't have a big runoff area. In those situations, particularly the Fernando Alonso crash, would you have been happy as drivers for a red flag, or were you comfortable driving past the lorries and the marshals that were on track?
I was comfortable.
Yeah, I thought that was all fine, yeah. I mean, if you crash into that behind the safety car, you're really stupid.
You shouldn't be in Formula One then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was all fine.
Okay, next one. Luke, please.
Thank you. Luke Smith from The Athletic. Lando, just talk through those closing stages when Max was closing up on you at the end. Like, how did it feel? You talked about the pressure in your opening answer. How did you deal with Max in your mirrors?
Yeah, the thing is, I knew I was going to struggle a bit just because I put the Inter on 2 laps prior to him, and with half the track still being dry, like I pushed, and even the high speed was dry, so I kind of destroyed my tires a little bit. The front tires, and you could see like the rubber was already rolling over on the edges. So I knew my pace advantage was not going to be as much as it was at the beginning of the race. And the very beginning of the race, when it was wettest, Max was just as quick as us. As it dried, we got a lot quicker, and then the Red Bull started to struggle. So I knew Max would be quick in those last few laps, and I knew you would, risk a bit more because it's only 5, 6, 7 laps to go. And I did make a mistake in turn 6 where I just put a wheel on the gravel. I just lost all my momentum in drive. And Max got to within DRS, and then DRS really managed to help him stay there. So it's just tough because it's not so much just the pressure of him being there, but it was the pressure of if I put a wheel too close to a white line on an entry, I'm off. If I clip the curb wrong in 6 on the inside, I'm off. If I dip a wheel in the gravel, I get a bad run and he's passed. Like, there's so many little things that can go wrong. So just trying to concentrate on not locking, not rear locking, not hitting the curbs wrong, but still trying to go quicker than you've ever gone because a guy's trying to do the same behind you. So it was stressful. I'm not going to lie about that. And, I was checking my mirrors a good amount and things like that. But even when Will came on the radio to me and told me just to chill out a little bit, he knows. And Jarv as well, my racing performance engineer, knows very quickly from my driving when I'm pushing a bit too much and when I'm pushing entries too much and those kind of things. So they're very quick to jump and say, do this better or watch out for that, because they know what I do and what I struggle with. Especially in a situation like that. But that situation was new for me. I've not ever led a race with 5 laps to go with Max behind me trying to put me under pressure and in these conditions. Maybe Max has had that a few times and he's raced against Lewis a lot and you can just deal with that and probably better than I can. For me, it was a new situation for me. So it was kind of like to see how it goes when I get there. So happy that I just kind of got through it and stayed calm. And pretty somewhere I improved on from last year.
Thank you, Lando. Next one.
Phil Duncan, PA. Question for Lando. Lando, before the season started, you're obviously being billed as the favourite, but now we've had a race you've won well. Would you concede that you actually are now the favourite to win this championship, and you've laid down a bit of a marker today? And just to George and Max also, do you think that McLaren can be caught? I mean, Lando and Oscar were a long way ahead at the start of the race. Do you think it's theirs to win?
Let's see, we were 3/10. Max was 3/10 off yesterday. Last year we were a lot further off, and we ended up having the best car at the end of the season. You know, we were over half a second off at the beginning of last year behind the Red Bull. We ended up with the quickest car. So, I mean, I know George made some comments earlier in the weekend that we can just turn our focus to 26. If that's their mentality, then wonderful, because that's not the mentality to have, you know. So, sorry, mate, but yeah, I don't think so. We know we have a lot of work to do on this year's car still. I think if you do relax in that position, you failed, because in Formula One, if you start thinking things are good and groovy, that's when you start to get caught. But yeah, we know we have a lot of work to do. I do think we're favourites because the team have done an amazing job. The car's flying. But like I said, I think we're going to have races where we are going to struggle. I think if we started off in Bahrain, I don't think we, like I said, we wouldn't have won the race, and you wouldn't be saying this kind of question to me. So let's allow a few more races to take place before we start making any obvious things. But we're the favourites. We are the team to beat, mainly because we have two drivers up there pushing each other. That helps. Do I think me and Oscar working together yesterday in terms of pushing one another allowed us to get 1.5/10 more than the two drivers here because their teammates aren't as equipped and as experienced? Yes. So add that into the equation as well. Don't just say it's the car. So the team have done an amazing job. I thank them for everything they're doing, but we know we can make it a lot better still, and that's our aim.
We'll try our best.
They look pretty good and groovy at the moment, so yeah, we'll see.
Okay, next, please. Yep.
Sönke Sievers, FAZ. Question for Lando, please. Lando, you've mentioned before that when it comes to strategy calls in difficult situations that you've practiced and improved these processes over the winter. How exactly does it work? How exactly do you practice these kind of tight situations and moments?
That's for us. That's not for something I need to share. They work very hard to improve themselves as a team. Strategy, engineers, mechanics. I don't need to say these things to the media. I let them do their job. It's the same as when I work hard to try and improve in areas I do. Some things I say, some things I don't. People spend a lot of time, they dedicate their lives to this kind of thing. I'm not going to give away how people work and how they try and improve to be the best in their sport, in their job. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Lawrence Edmondson, ESPN. A question to Max. When Oscar got past, the two McLarens disappeared pretty quickly. I know you said you had your tyres overheating, but were you surprised how quickly the race turned at that point and how quickly they could build a big gap?
No, I could see it coming. I mean, I was struggling with my tyres, and it's a bit similar to yesterday. Now, intermediates, of course, are even more of a soft compound, so they're even more prone to overheating. And that's where and I think a lot of teams are struggling compared to McLaren. They're just simply doing a better job on that, and that's what we need to work on.
Another one. We go back to Andrew.
Andrew Benson, BBC Sport. Max and George, you were having a good old chat before Lando came in. Have you cleared the air? Is everything good between you now?
No, it's still shockingly bad. It's always been... Yeah. No, I mean, it's all good. It's all good.
What he said.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, we are at the end of the press conference. Just don't forget to like this video, to comment it, to subscribe to the channel, and just to follow our other videos.